so that students from all over departments would collaborate and exchange more ideas. And like no one group contains only students from one department. So I think
Yes.
it's a pretty good mix, in my opinion. And like personally from my side, I have already made the WhatsApp group for my group, and like we do talk sometimes. So I don't think there are any problems. But of course, if any student has problems, he or she can of course tell them right now to you. Like I feel
Okay,
it's perfectly fine.
thank you, Aditya. Yes,
And like
continue.
there is students from all different years, like so it is sometimes for some groups it is difficult to communicate, because at least in my group only 2 or 3 people I know, and rest others not even in that formal group that we created for collabing all departments. But it is becoming difficult for me to form my group actually. Still
Okay,
now I
my
am.
suggestion. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello,
Raise
ma'am.
your hand because I cannot.
क्या भेजाबाजी चल रही है?
Yes, Shreya.
Ma'am, actually, there are students of different years, so like not all of them are even in the official group. So out of all the 10 students, only 4 are there in the WhatsApp group. Ma'am, it is not possible to like even communicate to all of them.
Okay,
Like
so yeah.
uh,
Also,
I haven't even contacted other 6 people. I have only contacted only 4 people, so it is not possible to do anything. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yes, Abhijit, you want to say something?
ma'am, also it will be difficult for us to reach a consensus time because our departments are different. So if a group can have same students from same department, then it would be better to for us to manage assignments.
So let me tell you one thing. I hope that it's not always possible to do the evaluation to do it individually, right? So, for example, the class participation when I am participating, it's not possible to ask each and everyone.
Not
So,
clear.
Your
hello.
voice is
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, for evaluation purpose, not always say, for example, if I give you some class assignment, so who is responding? Each and individual, I cannot ask also each and individual, every individual, if they want also, they cannot respond, right? I mean, I cannot take answers from 134 students in one class. So for evaluation purpose, some assignments, home assignments or class assignments, whatever it may be, I mean, I will consider whoever is responding, he is falling under which particular group. So whatever group he belongs to, I will consider his responses as the group's response, and that way I will evaluate. So each group at least, I mean, need to make their representatives who are going to respond in the class, who are going to do something. Now the point is, when I am talking about the project at the end of the year, so that I will discuss what the project is all about. As I said, that it will be a financial statement analysis. And once I am, I mean, substantially I covered the portion, how to, I mean, the financial statements and how to do the analysis and so. So then only the format of the presentation and project I will discuss. Okay, so that project, what I feel is maybe it is better if you form group on your own way, but I am not deviating from already formed group, because many of you also are satisfied with their own groups. So my suggestion is, for that project purpose, which one it is, I mean, which is a group work basically, and everybody needs to contribute there. So there, if you are not satisfied with already formed group, you can swap between yourselves. Okay, but I am not asking everyone to do that. It is up to you. But whatever it may be, you send me the finalized group list, and don't keep changing that. And you only tell me that when you are going to give me the final group names, and that is only for project purpose. I will also give the notice. It is not for the evaluation purpose. For the evaluation, class participations and all, everything whatever I have formed, I will follow that. But only for project purpose, you may create, or you may continue this group, or you may create a new group. Okay, that is up to you. Got it? Where, I mean, everyone's contribution is really needed, but for the evaluation purpose, I mean, it is not needed. Because if somebody is not doing anything and he wants to be evaluated, maybe short term he will be benefited, but he is not learning anything, right? So for evaluation purpose, I don't see there is a point in, making a group as per your will. So but for the project purpose, I know that this is required because everyone's contribution is necessary. Okay, so during these online sessions, I feel that you also not in a very comfortable position. So you need to form a group as per your comfort. So that you do for project purpose, you may form your own group, or you may continue, or you may make a bit changes in the group, also group members. But let me know, okay, which group you are, what the number, what are the final groups. And that group, that particular group may not be, it may not be a 10 people, 10 students group. For the project purpose, it may not be a 10 students group, it may be less than that. That is not going to be an issue. Okay, I think I'm clear. Yes, Shachi.
Ma'am, I just joined late because I had a class before. I couldn't get that the group that we're going to form according to our convenience.
No, no,
Uh,
that is for the project purpose. The project you are supposed to do, na, there, everyone's contribution is required, because otherwise it is not a one person job.
yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Ma'am, and
so
where
that,
does the group doesn't apply? The one that we make according to our
no, no,
convenience.
that also applies. But if you think that no, that group I am not comfortable with, so since it is a teamwork, so it will be difficult for you to manage.
Yes, ma'am.
So for that, you may create a new group, or you may swap with someone in someone else group, and you can join other group, or you can invite other members in your group. But it should not be more than 11 people, and it may be less than 11 people. So that is not an issue, 10 or 11. You may
Yes, ma'am.
form a group with 6 people also. That is up to you. But that is only for the project. I'm repeating, that is only for the project. For all other purposes, the group I have formed, that will be followed only. Okay.
Ma'am, the
Okay,
assignment.
I will give the notice. Assignment is not going to be a group work. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Even if I mention that it is a group work, I will expect that each and individual will do it. So I am not going to consider, changes of groups for that particular thing, because assignment is a very brief assignment. Everybody should do it. Okay, so for that there is no teamwork required. So where is teamwork required is the project work. So there you can go as per your will. But for all other things, all other evaluations, this group will continue that I have formed. Okay, I think that is, I am clear enough. So if you have still you have any query or anything, you can message me later on. Hmm? So where we were yesterday, so we were discussing the transactions, right? Okay. So the last one in this slide, that is still due. The firm purchases a patent from its creator, in cash, right? So now raise your hand. Who wants to explain? Yes, Ayush.
Ma'am, it should be recognized as an asset, right? Because it is an
Mhm.
intangible asset.
What kind of asset?
Like it is a
Intangible asset.
fixed asset,
Fixed
but it
asset.
is like
Yes.
intangible asset
Yes.
because
So how it is recorded? What do you think? It is recorded as a fixed asset. Any
yes,
other
fixed
recording?
asset. Ma'am, I could not get you.
Say for example, when we record the fixed assets, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what are the things we need to consider? Say for example, say machinery, building, equipments. These are the fixed assets, right? Hmm?
Yes, yes.
So it does not have. The value does not remain the same over the time period. So patent is also like that. The patent has a limited life, isn't it? It does not have
Like
an
it
unlimited
doesn't
life,
have a physical existence, but it can provide like long-term value to the entity.
long-term value. True. But till what time it is going to provide you the value? Is it for
Like
the,
it should be more than 1 year, right? That's why it is fixed.
yes, true, true. So for example, more than 1 year, but is it with the, till the time the company is going to stay, the patent value will also stay, also will be there, or it will be, diminishing over the time, or there is a fixed life of patent. What do you think? The value of patent?
Like the patent doesn't diminish over time like any
Mhm.
any infrastructure.
So it
Like
does
it
not
should be there.
it does not diminish, but does the value remains the same after a long
No,
period
no,
of time also?
it
Yeah, or
may
it has
vary
a
after
limited
long
life?
period of time,
So it has a limited or unlimited life.
like limited, like
So how we record the value of the patent when it has a limited life? How can we record? I discussed about it, so that's why I'm asking. It may not, you may not answer, but that's why I'm asking. Okay, Ayush, thank you. Then who wants to answer? Yes, Arushi. Arushi, you have raised your hand. Please respond.
Yes, ma'am, you can divide it with the value, with the number of years the patent would last and then record it year by year.
Yeah, so what does it call? What it is called? This appropriation of value over a period of time.
Amortization.
So it is amortization. So on what principle we do the amortization of patent? What is it?
Ma'am,
Why we spread it over a period of time?
ma'am, I didn't understand the question.
The patent value, you are telling that, it will be amortized over a period of time, right?
Yes, ma'am.
In the balance sheet, it will not show that the same value will not be shown in the balance sheet every year. We will take out a portion of it and we will put it in what statement? In our income statement, right? So it is called the amortization. Like we depreciate the fixed assets, we amortize the patent value, and it is over a period of time, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So why so? Why we spread it over a period of time? What is the reason behind that? What is the principle behind that? Say the patent value is 1 lakh and we are putting 10,000 every year over a lifetime of 10 years. Okay. Every year we are considering 10,000 as our amortization, and we are taking it out and we are putting it in our income statement in expense side. So why so? What is the principle behind that? Yes, Abhijit?
Ma'am, I think that so that the cost of asset can be matched by the revenue generated by that
So
asset.
this is the matching principle, right? So always
Yes, ma'am.
remember why so, because the patent, the value it is giving, it is for long time. It is helping to generate revenue not for a particular accounting year, but during its life. So whatever may be its life, it may be 3 years, it may be 5 years, it may be 10 years, but whatever may be its life, throughout that period, it is going to give some amount of it has contribution towards revenue generation. So it should be matched with each accounting period's revenue generation till the time the patent's value, the patent's life exists. Okay, so that is the principle. That is the matching principle behind it. Okay, thank you, Abhijit. Then next
Excuse me, ma'am.
comes the, yes, who is there?
Ma'am, Shreyas.
Yes, Resh.
Ma'am, so the cash account will not be affected by this 1.2 million then
Yeah,
if
now that is another question. A good question Shreyash has asked. Say, for example, when the first time this patent has been purchased, so what are the accounts that is affected? As I told you, the easiest way to think is whether cash is involved or not. Since cash is involved here, so that means the cash account is decreasing, right? That means current asset is decreasing. Remember your accounting equation, your left side A is decreasing. And what you are creating? Fixed asset. So again, asset is increasing. So asset is decreasing, asset is increasing by the same value. But when I discussed about the amortization, this is completely a separate transaction. Okay, this is a complete separate transaction. This has nothing to do with the transaction mentioned over here. This is an additional thing what I have discussed. So if there is an additional information that the patent's life is, say for example, 5 years, then that is an additional transaction you need to consider. So what is that? That is patent value is decreasing, that is asset is decreasing, and you are recognizing, you say, as I told that 10,000, say maybe for this accounting period, current accounting period, you are considering 10,000 as your amortization expense. Okay. So 10,000 is you are deducting from the patent value in your balance sheet, and 10,000 you are considering as expense in the expense side of the income statement. Okay. So how it is affecting the accounting equation A equal to L plus E? So when you are reducing it from patent, that means asset is decreasing, A equal to L plus E. Okay, so asset, the left side of the equation is decreasing by the amount 10,000. And when you are recognizing it as expense, that means expense is increasing, right? So expense increasing means what?
Revenue.
Profit is decreasing, right? Profit means revenue minus expenses. So given everything constant, given revenue constant, expense increasing means profit decreasing. Okay.
Yes.
Profit decreasing means retained earnings decreasing. Profit is nothing but retained earnings, the portion that is not distributed as dividend, that is retained earnings. So profit decreasing means retained earnings decreasing. Retained earnings actually is what? It is equity.
Yes.
That means equity is decreasing. So in the left side, your asset is decreasing. The right side of the equation, equity is decreasing, and A equal to L plus C. Okay, so that's why I told you whenever there's a transaction, you just need to identify what are the two accounts and what is the nature of that account. So one is the patent account, one is the amortization. Patent's nature is asset, amortization's nature is expense. Expense means it is affecting equity. Fine. So this way you need to think.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then next is the liabilities. So the firm owes its attorneys an amount is given in legal expenses. So please raise your hand and answer. Yes, Ritik.
Ma'am, current liabilities or the account payable will increase by 50,000. And at the same time, wage expenses account will increase, which will lead to decrease in equity by 50,000, so that L plus E part remains the like same as before.
So it is, I mean, one side is the, in the accounting equation, what are the accounts? One is
Ma'am,
your
one is account payable
accounts
and
payable, the current
yes, ma'am,
liability.
current
That is,
liability.
yeah, so the L side. So the right side of the accounting equation, the liability is increasing, right? A equal to L plus E. So liability is increasing. Okay, and what is the other?
The other account is
Okay.
wage expense. We can include
Yeah.
it into expense of wage expense account, and
Legal
which will lead
expenses,
to
attorneys, that's why you are considering it as regular, I mean, salaries kind of, regular remunerations to the attorneys, something like this, right?
yes,
Okay, then expense
and
side, expense will increase, right?
expense will increase, which will
Okay, so
lead to decrease in the equity.
decrease. So in the accounting equation, A equal to L plus C, the effect is only on the right side.
Yes, ma'am.
L is increasing and equity is decreasing. So equation is matching. Expense increasing means equity decreasing. So remember, whenever there's an increase in expense, actually the effect is decrease in equity because there's a decrease in profit, decrease in retained earnings. And when there's an increase in revenue, so when the revenue goes up, it has a positive effect on profit. It has a positive effect on retained earnings. It has a positive effect on equity generation. Okay, so this way. So here L is increasing, equity is decreasing, and the equation is matching. Okay, thank you, Ritik. The next one,
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes.
I had a question, follow-up question on this.
Who, Ritik?
Ma-
Yeah.
yes,
Huh.
ma'am. Ma'am, if we say that, let's say the attorney services, if we can consider it as a asset, let's say that it be also called as an intangible asset if we have not received a service from attorney, and let's say this is a different question, and we are expected to get some services in future for which
No,
we
no.
have,
See,
let's
see,
say,
see. If you are expected to, the question you asked, that was just like that R&D expense example that we discussed. If it is executory from both the parts, so then there is no transaction. You are expecting that the service you will get in future, and you are then what is the, I mean, how you are owing it to someone?
ma'am, like my question was that let's say we have paid for a service which we are going to receive in advance. Sorry,
Okay, okay.
going to
Yeah,
receive in the future. In that
okay.
case, I was
So
just
you have,
asking,
it
can
is
we
just the
consider?
reverse, right? I mean, you have
Yes, ma'am.
paid, but you have not received. So it is
Yes.
like a prepaid expense. That also we discussed yesterday. Prepaid expense, advance payment, insurance premium, same thing. You have made, but you have not received the service. So this is, the business has ownership on that service. So it is an asset.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah, I can continue.
Okay. The next one, the farm provides warranties on its product. Ayush, you have answered before. Shreyash? Yes, Shreyash?
Ma'am, it is like no transaction is happening. It is executory in nature.
Yes, very true, Shreyash. It
Yes,
is
ma'am.
executed. So can you explain why so? Because I mean, right now there is no, transaction, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So right now there is no transaction. So is it that we need to record it?
No, ma'am, no need.
Actually, we need to record it, Shreyash. Where?
Yes.
Not in the financial statement. We cannot record it in the financial statement because it has not happened, right? You are right that it has not taken place. So we cannot record it in our financial statement. We cannot record it for our profit calculation or, I mean, whatever in our balance sheet. Nowhere we can record it as our liability, asset, whatever. But why we need to record it? We will record it. It is a contingent liability. So some liabilities are called contingent liabilities, which may arise in future, which has not arisen right now, but which may arise in future. Why? We will keep it as a notes to accounts or somewhere. It is a disclosure that you need to make. Now, why so? Because what principle is there in behind it? Because the liability may arise in future, we need to disclose it to our investors. Why so? What principle? Again, anyone who can answer that also I discussed. Any liability, any chances of loss, we need to disclose it. What principle behind this? Another very important accounting principle. Anyone? You remember? No. So it is principle of conservatism or principle of prudence. I discussed it once when I discussed about the provision for bad debt or bad debt reserve. So what does it mean? That the principle of conservatism is any anticipatory loss, we always need to disclose it to investors so that they can be aware of that this may have an impact on their returns. It may have an impact on the profit. Okay, if it happens, if the damage happens, and there may be a loss due to that. So all kind of anticipatory losses should be communicated to the investors, even if not in the financial statement, but as a note, you need to disclose it. But any kind of anticipatory gain that I may get this order, there is a verbal communication with me and my customers that you need not to disclose it mandatorily to the investors, because anticipatory gain may uh, give them a false confidence. It may not happen, and then if they have in their mind, okay, I mean, this is the thing, I mean, the profit may go up like this if this happens. So then if the value they I mean, making based on those information, that may not happen and they will lose. But all kind of anticipatory losses needs to be communicated. Okay, so this is the conservatism principle that accounting follows. Okay, the next one, the last one, the firm borrows this much from the bank for a 90-day period. Yes, Shoham?
Yeah, ma'am, as it borrows 60,000, that will be a liability. Like the liability
Hmm.
will increase. And because in
Fine.
return we are getting cash, so current asset will increase. So both L and S side are increasing.
Yeah. So that means liability is increasing. At the same time, asset is also increasing. So I think it is a very simple thing. Now, what is the nature of the asset and what is the nature of the liability? Who answered? I mean, I just forgot the name.
Ma'am, I answered.
Shoham, yes. Yes, Shoham. I mean, the nature of the asset
The
and
asset is current.
liability.
The asset is current asset because
Mm-hmm.
it's cash, and
Mm-hmm.
the liability it will be like 90 days period, so it is a short term, I guess.
Short-term liability. True. So it is current asset and current liability. Both are current
Yes.
in nature. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So now we will move to the next examples. Um, okay, we will do a very short, preparation of income statement and balance sheet, and to see that how it balances. Okay. So again, please raise your hand. See the effect. All of you have answered before. Anyone? Parth, yes, Parth.
Ma'am, the cash account and the owner's equity both go up.
Yes. So current asset will go up, owner's equity will go up. Huh? Good. The next, um, so one thing is this is this is the equity is going up because of the contributed capital. It is not because of retained earnings. Okay. And the reason for taking this 10,000 in equity side, which principal part? Why it is not asset? Because it is A's cash, right? He is introducing into the business. Hmm? So
Ma'am,
why it
the
is cap?
principle that the owner and the entity are two different.
Yes, dual entity concept. Dual
Yeah.
entity. Okay. Okay. The next one, these have already we have discussed. The company borrows from a bank. I'm not again repeating this. So this is coming asset and liability, both are increasing. Company purchases equipment. This is also we have discussed. Okay. Asset is increasing and asset is fixed asset increasing, current asset decreasing. Okay. Uh, okay, this one tell me is a bit, maybe, some of you may not understand it. At least try. Company performs service. The customer pays 8,000 in cash and promises to pay the balance at a later date. Who wants to answer? So there are two transactions hidden in one sentence, in one particular statement. Okay. Arpit. Arpit is new. So Arpit, uh, tell me two transactions are there. Okay. So tell me the transaction. Tell me one transaction. The effect of one transaction. Yes, Arpit. Arpit, are you there? Okay. Arpit is not audible. Nikhil.
Ma'am, first there will be an addition of
Who is
12,000.
answering? Nikhil. Yeah. Yes, Nikhil.
Yeah,
Hmm.
first there will be an addition of 12,000, and
Addition
there
where? Where addition of
on
12,000?
the asset side, and
Asset
at the
side.
same and there will also be a decrease on of 8,000 on the asset side itself. Uh, the
Okay.
reason for balance would be because we are adding 12,000 because of the accrual principal accounting.
Okay, Nikhil. Let me ask others also. Arpit has mentioned something, I think, in the chat box.
Ma'am, I'm audible now.
Yeah, now you are audible, Arpit. Yeah.
So ma'am, I was saying that the company performs the service for 12,000. So that
Hmm.
12,000, I mean, it will be a reduction in the current assets of the company for that 12,000. That will be a reduction, and the increase
Reduction in where?
um
Reduction
in the assets, like in the current assets, like probably the inventory, from the inventory 12,000 was deducted in the to perform the servicing, and and that will be accounted for by an increase in 8,000 in cash, which will be the which will be the short term assets, and the accounts receivables of 4,000. So that's how it will be balanced.
the customer pays 8,000, that will be in cash, and the accounts receivable is in
4,000, that is also short term asset.
okay.
At,
So you are trying to say that your cash will increase by 8,000, your accounts receivable will increase by 4,000, and
yes,
12,000 is your decrease in asset. That you are trying to
yes,
say, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So uh, who else? I mean, wants to answer? Okay. Anyone else apart from Arpit, Ritik, and Divyam, Charvi? I mean, all of you answered yesterday also. Job also is there. No one else. Rishabh, I do not remember your name. So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, what Arpit explained or Nikhil explained, is it correct? Rishabh?
Ma'am, if there is a decrease and increase in the asset itself, then why would the company perform? I mean, there would be no profit. So I think maybe that is not the case. I think the asset will increase and owner's equity will increase.
Yeah. So, Ritik, you are right. First of all, I mean, one thing you need to be, I mean, clear. You need to make clear to others also. I mean, it cannot be that there is increase and decrease in asset never happens, right? It may happen also sometimes. So if you purchase some assets in cash, there may be no effect in profit. So the company is not going to perform that. What are you trying to say? The reason is not right. Your answer is right that there is the impact is on equity and assets. Your reason, I mean, your answer is right, but the reason that if the asset is increasing and the asset is decreasing, then there is no point in going for this transaction. That is not correct. Okay, because the company can also purchase some fixed assets, make some investments from its own cash. So then also asset is increasing and asset is decreasing. So what kind of activity it is? It is investment activity. It is not operating activity. And operating activities impact only we find in the income statement. And investing activity impact we find directly in the balance sheet. Okay. So if there is investment activity that has nothing to do with the company's performance, that is not true. Maybe it is not going to give the result this year, but that investment has a long-term impact on the operating performance of the company. So the company can always do that. Okay, so that is a wrong statement. But your answer is correct that it is not that asset is increasing and asset is decreasing. It is equity is increasing and asset is decreasing. Okay, and increasing also. So what is the uh, breakup? So I first told that there are two transactions here. Hmm. So now tell me how you can justify that. When you are saying that I think equity is increasing, that is not an answer. How equity is increasing? Just tell everyone. Let us know, Ritik.
Oh,
Ritik or
Ritik.
Rishabh, who was answering? I forgot.
It was me, Rishabh.
Rishabh, yes. Huh.
Right. So cash is current asset, right? And whenever
Yes.
the company makes a profit, since it is doing a service and receiving cash in return, and since the company is making a profit, it will also reflect in the equity.
Hmm. So that means the company has performed some service. So the company is supposed to do that service maybe, and that way he earns, right? So it is his revenue. This 12,000 is the revenue of the company. It is not about the asset. Now somebody told me just before that it is a reduction of inventory. Now one thing you just think, inventory, when we record inventory, it is at cost price. But when we talk about revenue, it is over and above the cost, there is a margin that we consider, right? That is our revenue. So sales price and cost price are both different. So inventory, when we record, it is at cost price we record. We do not include the margin in the inventory cost. But when we record the sales is with a margin. So sales price and cost price are different. Inventories are recorded at cost price, but revenues are recorded at sales price. So these two prices are different. So when it is 12,000, it is not that inventory we are considering here. What we are considering? We are considering revenue account. That is a new account. The inventories transaction I'm coming later. So this is called the revenue account. Revenue, where you are going to put it in your income statement revenue side. Okay. So since revenue is increasing, that means profit is increasing, given your expenses are constant. Profit means retained earnings increasing, that means equity is increasing. So your A equal to L plus E, equity is increasing, right? And by delivering that service, what you are getting, 8,000 you are getting in cash. That means your current asset is increasing. Left side of the accounting equation is increasing. And the rest 4,000 is not in cash, but that is in receivables. So this 4,000 also is contributing to your current assets. So current assets is increasing, 8,000 in cash and 4,000 in receivables. And entire 12,000 is increasing, which is revenue. And your equity is increasing due to that. So A is increasing, E is increasing, left side and right side, and the equation is matching. So that's why inventory does not come into this picture, because 12,000, 8,000, 4,000, none of this amount is the cost of the inventory. We do not know also what is the margin, what is the cost. Okay, so we cannot consider the inventory, the transaction of inventory here. That is a separate statement you need, separate information you need to record that. That has nothing to do with this. It is only about the revenue. One is revenue with cash, another is revenue with receivables. These two transactions. Okay. Okay. This one is easier. Charvi, Ritik, Hertz, Sriyash. Anyone else? This one is easy, not difficult. Divyam, Bhavi. No one else? See, I will see few classes. If I see that only the, few names only are responding, then I will start the evaluations on individual basis, because then I will not face any problem, because only 10 people are there who are responding in the class. I told you that it is the participation or it is the attempt that you are making that is important, not the answer is correct or wrong. Okay, so if I feel that only 10, 12 students are responding, then I will evaluate them only. So that is, you can be sure of that. Okay. So all of you have answered yesterday also, but still, I mean, since there are no new names, let me ask you only. Yes, Charvi?
Yeah, so the cash will decrease because we are spending 9,000. So cash will decrease on
Another
the
thing
asset
is, in
side.
accounting statement, when nothing is mentioned and it is mentioned that I mean, that amount is used for expenses, that means cash. You can assume that it is in cash. Okay. Okay. Next.
And then in the similar manner, we'll be using that cash from the owner's equity. So the owner's equity will also decrease.
Owner's equity will decrease, right? So cash is decreasing, asset decreasing, left side of the equation, equity is decreasing, right side of the equation. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Charvi. Company pays dividend.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, wages comes under current liability or the expenses side. Ma'am, wages payable comes under current liability, right?
It is not payable, right? Company pays. Yes, if it is payable, it is current liability. But here it is mentioned that company pays.
So after paying that liability will
Yeah, that
reduce.
liability will be no more, huh?
So, so this 9,000 should come in the liabilities reducing after paying, right?
No. If, say, for example, in last year's balance sheet, it was mentioned that 9,000 is your payable. Okay. So it is a good question. If last year's balance sheet, it was 9,000 payable. That means you have not yet paid it. Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
So if it is, so now you are paying it. So it is not, it is for the last year's balance sheet, then the payables will be decreasing. But it is nothing is mentioned here. It is as if this year's payables only you are paying. This year you are supposed to pay this, it is this current accounting year's expense.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, current accounting period's expense. It may not be year, it may be monthly, it may be quarterly, it may be annually, whatever. It is current accounting periods. When you are preparing the statement, then only it is 9,000 as expense and you are paying it right away. So that means it is not payable. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
This one. Anmol, I think this name is new, Anmol.
Yes, ma'am. So,
Yes.
on the left side, there would be a decrease in the assets. On the
Uh-huh.
right side,
Hmm.
cash, and
Yes.
on the liabilities, there would be a decrease.
Please be louder, Anmol.
Ma'am, on the right side, owner's equity will reduce, and on the left side, assets will also decrease. The cash.
Yes. So owner's equity will be reduced. So what is the nature of the account? Owner's equity has two components, right?
Ma'am, the stock, the common stock.
There are two components: retained earnings and contributed capital. And retained earnings also come from profit calculation. So profit is again, there are two components in profit: revenues and expenses. So dividend, where you will put it? In which component you will put it? The dividend?
Ma'am,
You
in
are saying
retained
that
earnings. In
retained earnings, and retained earnings also is coming from profit only, and profit is coming from revenue and expenses. So where from you are you are considering dividend as what?
Ma'am, as expense.
Acha, is Anmol is correct or not? Rajat, yes, Rajat Rathi. Is it an expense? Dividend?
Ma'am, dividend is revenue. Like it's it's
It's
what company
whose revenue
generate.
it is? Dividend is whose revenue?
Companies, the revenue which the company generated.
Towards whom?
Uh,
The
that I'm
company generates revenue. That revenue is the sales, right?
yes,
When the company sells something, they get the,
revenues.
whatever they get in return, in cash or whatever. So that is the revenue of the company. So how dividend is the revenue? What is dividend?
So basically, I'm not much sure. I thought
Okay.
what
Okay, you just listen, okay? The class is for that only. You need to be clear about the terms. Um, Pujan?
Yes, ma'am. So,
Yes.
1,000 dividend would be minus from asset sides, from cash, and from liabilities, from retained earnings. 1,000 will be minus.
Yes, so why so? That is why I'm asking. First of all,
Uh,
I mean,
because retained earnings.
dividend is revenue. Somebody said dividend is revenue. Is it right? Somebody said dividend is expense. Is it right? That you answer.
No, like dividend is we can say expense, but not as revenue. We subtract our dividend from the revenue and minus expense. Like whatever is remaining after expenses, the company can choose to pay dividend out of that.
Um, who wants to argue? Who wants to counter? Or you think all of you think dividend is expense?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so Yashwant, Bandaru Yashwant. How you spell your
Ma'am,
name? It is Yashwant. I mean, should I spell as Yashwant?
Yashwant, ma'am.
Huh? Yes.
Yashwant.
Yashwant. Yes,
Okay.
Yashwant.
Uh, the dividend is actually revenue after cutting depreciation, amortization,
First
and
of all,
net profits.
let me make it very clear. First of all, dividend is not revenue to the business. Dividend is revenue for the shareholders, and shareholders are business are two separate entity. Dividend means whatever profit we generate, we apportion a part of it and distribute it as dividend to the shareholders. Okay, shareholders own that dividend, and business owes that dividend to the shareholders. So it is out of the profit, a part of it is retained in the business, a part of it is distributed as dividend to the shareholders. So dividend is not a revenue in for the business. Okay, revenue means only sales. If you are selling a product, then what you are getting at a price, so that is your revenue. If you are delivering a service at a price, so that is your revenue. Dividend has nothing to do with the revenue. Now the question comes, dividend is expense or not? Okay, that is what my question is. Dividend is revenue or dividend is expense or not? Fine. So that is what I want the answer, but I want it from some new. So Himanshu, do you
Yes,
think it
ma'am.
is an
So
expense?
dividend
It is
is
an
not an
expense?
expense. No,
Not
ma'am,
an
because it
expense. So
is
why
not
so?
used
That
to.
is I am asking. Huh?
Because it is not used to like run a day-to-day business or something. That's not. We are paying something from our pocket. Instead, that's distributed from the profit which the company has earned. So that will be a reduction in the retained earnings.
Yes,
But
so that is the answer. So Anmol's answer is correct that asset decreases, equity decreases. The point is that it is not an expense because we do not consider dividend for our profit calculation. Okay, we take interest for our profit calculation, but we do not consider dividend for our profit calculation. It is not that after deducting dividend, what is there, it is profit. Okay, so it is not only about, it is nothing to do with our operations. Interest also has nothing to do with the operations. Interest is a finance cost. It depends on our financing decision. Whether if I do not have debt in my capital structure, I do not need to pay interest. So that has nothing to do with my operations. Even if I am very efficient in my operations, I still need to, bear the interest cost. That is my financing policy, financing decision. So it is not that only because it has nothing to do with operations, that's why dividend is not an expense. Dividend we do not consider in our profit calculations. So that's why it is not an expense. After having the profit, we apportion it. Either we retain it the entire, or we give the dividend as a part of, as a part of profit, we distribute to the shareholders in the form of dividend. Okay, so that's why dividend is not an expense. Okay. So so this is the
Mom, I just wanted to confirm one thing. Day before yesterday, we were discussing about dividend payable. So instead of dividend paid, if we had dividend payable in our balance sheet, and that would go under liabilities. But as soon as we have paid the dividend, in that case, the liabilities will decrease and the assets will decrease because we have paid it in either cash or cash equivalent.
no, if it is payable, how you are paying it? When you are
If
saying that
like
it is payable, so how you are considering it in your asset side?
no,
There will be
like
no deduction in
once
asset.
like they it's a payable and now it's
Yes. So
currently in the
payables
liability.
means it is liability. Yeah.
Yes, but after some time if I've paid that, So that thing will be reflected as a decrease in liability and decrease in assets.
When
Is
you are
it
paying
right
the
or right?
dividend.
Yes, like as it's a liability currently, and now I'm
Yes,
paying it.
yes. Whatever payables. Some, I mean, sometimes
So
before
there'll be
somebody
no.
asks that if it is wages payable.
So there'll be no involvement of owner's equity in that.
Owner's equity is always there. Say, for example, when the dividend is payable, what is your entry? What will be your entry? When it is payable,
Okay.
when you are supposed to
It's
pay dividend, but you have not paid in cash.
yes.
So what is the entry? Where
Owner's
will you
equity will
record it?
decrease and liability will
So that
increase.
time only you are
Okay.
considering the equity effect, the effect on equity. So 2 times you are not going to consider it, right?
Yes.
Say for example, wages payable. So one time you are considering as your expense. So when say today's date, this year, you are considering it is wages, outstanding wages. So you are already considering it as an expense this year because of the matching principle. Even if there is no cash outflow, the wages are you are supposed to pay the wage because this wage is meant for revenue generation of this accounting year only. Okay, so
Okay. Now got
once
it.
I am considering it as payable, that means the service I have received for this year's revenue generation only. So that means I need to consider it as my expense if it is wage, not dividend. So here, what we are, going to record wages payable is increasing means what? Expense is increasing. That means equity is decreasing and my liability is increasing. That means payable is increasing.
Yes.
Now, when the next year this particular wages payable, I'm paying it in cash, then no more it will come as my expense in the income statement because it is not this year's expense due to matching principle. It is last year's expense. So what I am doing this year, last year's wages payable, I'm deducting it. So liability is decreasing, and this year I am paying it in cash. So my asset is decreasing. Okay, so 2 times I'm not going to consider it.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, so this is the reflection, and that's why my asset and liability side matches with a few, just 5-6 transactions we have, seen. This is the effect on the net income. So net income, all the items we have not considered in the net income, and it is the statement of equity, what I told you earlier also, that beginning retained earnings, then less plus the net profit of this year and less the dividend distributed. So what is the remaining balance of the retained earnings? Okay.
Ma'am, but we have already considered the dividend, we have already reduced the dividend in the net income. Why are we removing it again?
Where?
Like
No.
in
No. We have not removed. We are the rule is you need to show this adjustment in the shareholders equity statement only. In the income statement, you are not going to show it because it is not your expense. So after the calculation of net income, there is a, you go to any annual report, you will find there is a changes in the shareholders equity statement. So there we do this kind of appropriation thing. We show it there. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So see, in the retained earnings in balance sheet, you have considered that 2000. What we have found as the ending retained balance, ending retained earnings balance in this statement. Okay, this 2000 goes to, not the entire net profit 3000 is going to the balance sheet. It is the after distribution of dividend, what is left, that's 2000 ending balance is going to the balance sheet. Okay. Okay, so this is the summary of what we have done so far. Now this assignment, I'm going to distribute it, and your job is to submit it. Okay. So I expect you are going to submit it. There are a few transactions. You do it on your own and submit it. So by Sunday, is it okay with all of you? By Sunday night, you are going to submit this?
Yes, ma'am. Sunday night would be
So
Yes,
there are,
ma'am.
I think there are 13 groups or 14 groups, I think. So I want only that much.
Ma'am, all have to submit individually.
No, not individual. So as a group, you submit. You discuss among yourself as a group, you submit. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this is not a very big task. So if you think that my group is not working, I need to do everything. So this is your for your learning also. It won't take much time, hardly not even 30 minutes. Okay, so you do it and submit it, but submit it in group. Put the names of the groups, and this group is what group I have formed. It is not your own group. Okay.
Ma'am,
Okay,
so
thank
only
you.
one will submit. Only one person from the group.
But you, I mean, put the name of all your group members. And now if you feel that still you need to discuss with all the group members, now you feel that your group, even, I mean, you are not able to communicate with that member and your member is also not responding. Okay. So then drop those names and let me know that, ma'am, they are not at all, they have not responded. So I will take care of that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let
Ma'am,
me download. Yes.
ma'am,
Yes,
actually, I had
Himanshu.
a query. Ma'am, you informed us that the contingent liability is noted
Yeah,
down in
so
the value.
Himanshu, just 1 minute. Already it is 12. Maybe, I mean, I have also one meeting. Just let me take the, I mean, download. Then I mean, I'm answering. Huh? Let others leave. Then I'm answering.
Sure.
Just a minute. Yes. Yes. So I mean, I have downloaded the attendance. So you may leave now. Okay. Now, Himanshu, you can just, I mean, very briefly, you can
Yeah, sure. So, ma'am,
ask
you
your
told us
question.
that
Yeah.
we mentioned the liabilities, the warranties, and all in the contingent liability, which are to be paid later on, depending on the outcome of the future. So, are there some potential assets or contingent assets as well, which are to be noted in the balance sheet? Like we have to note them, which might occur in the future.
So see, Himanshu, the reason behind that, as I already told you, the reason is, I mean, why I told that, because of what principle? You tell me
Ma'am,
that why we
principle
need
of
to record conservatism, right? So
conservatism.
any kind of
Principle of conservatism.
anticipatory losses, what we have, okay, that we actually record. We need to disclose it. I mean, this is the matter. If you do not disclose it, that is wrong. Okay, so that's why this contingent liability always you need to disclose. That should be in your notes to accounts. Now the point is, say for example, you have a very good news to share with your investors. Aren't you going to disclose that? Yes, you will disclose that, but that is not the mandatory. It will not come under the mandatory disclosure. Okay, it will go to the any section of your annual report. So in annual reports you will find few sections are mandatory sections. So for example, there are financial statements, so you know that companies act wise it needs to be I mean with the fixed schedules, I mean the fixed format it needs to be presented. Apart from that, there are many other so directors report, management discussion and analysis, then your corporate governance report, then your I mean currently the CSR report that has also been made mandatory. So these are the mandatory sections, and within that mandatory sections also there are places whether you can disclose information voluntarily. For example, in the MD&A discussion there are sections like forward looking statement. So that is mandatory, that you need to prepare a forward looking statement, but what you are going to put that in that particular statement, that is not mandatory. So if you want to share about your product, about your company's vision, about the growth opportunities, so everything you can share, but that is not the mandatory disclosures that need not to follow a particular norm. Okay.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So I suppose that all of you will submit your assignment by Sunday. I'm also giving it in a notice form.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, could you send this assignment on our